nations go to war. They want to be able to discuss, looking into each other's eyes and saying, this was why I did what I did. Now, situations have compelled him to understand that what is important is beyond the emotions of Yesom Wike and beyond the passion or sentiments of Fubara. It's about close to 5 million people who live in River State who demand responsible and responsive governance. It's about the Rivers elders and River stakeholders who are saying that they want leadership that is responsible to them, not to a godfather. That they want a leadership that is responsible to them, not a godson who kowtows to the whimsical caprices of a godfather. And I think that those sentiments are germane. I think that those sentiments are of primacy. And I think that those sentiments must be respected. That is why I believe that the people of River State has clearly made manifest across different fora and different media channels. That's why they support Fubara. That is why they are saying that Mr. President and the Inspector General of Police must call the APC and the apparatchiks to order so that River State does not degenerate to anarchy. I want to beg those who truly believe and love democracy. I want to call on all those who truly love our country and who believe that leadership must be responsible to the people, not to a few individuals, to assess Mr. President, to get across to the leaders of our various security agencies, and to get to the party in power at the center, the APC, and ask them not to cause an implosion of sorts in River State. They should allow the governor exercise his duties. They perhaps should wait, if they are so enraged, until 2027 to work against him and ensure that he does not win re-election. What is most important is how democracy impacts the people, and I think they should allow democracy to thrive in River State.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We need democracy. We can't be moving in a rogue nation or a rogue state, like you said. Let's just move over to the Punch. And the Punch leads with federal government plans fresh audit of 2.7 trillion naira subsidy claims. And this claim is by the NNPCL. Now, this claim was actually about 6 trillion naira. But then with the auditing firm actually trying to downsize it and check it very well, they've moved it from 6 trillion naira to 2.7 trillion naira. I'm just wondering why this subsidy claim is that amount. And I just want to get your take on the story. So fresh audit of 2.7 trillion naira subsidy claims. What is your take?
No, I'm careful about my position on these subsidy issues. I've said time and again, and I'm repeating it, that I'm one person who have never truly believed that the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has been involved in subsidy payments. I am still waiting for someone who will win me on a debate on this issue. I am challenging Mela Kyari and those who pretend the oil sector to a debate on it. I want them to convince me. I hear people talk about these subsidy issues, and I ask myself, what are you subsidizing? You know, if you take crude oil to other parts of the world, have it refined, a barrel of crude oil comes with about 6-7 byproducts: fuel, diesel, low LPFO, HPFO. It comes out with what you use for aviation fuel. It comes out with coal tar, bitumen. It comes out with several byproducts. And at the end of the day, what you just get here is perhaps diesel and fuel, and some distant times kerosene, DPK. Now, what happens with all the other byproducts? Who sells it to who? Who's subsidizing what? And then you ask yourself, what is the exact literage of PMS, that's petrol, that is consumed in this country? Do we consume 20 million liters, 28 million liters? or 68 million liters or 63 million liters. Like I said, Rume, there's so much roguery. There's so much wickedness in our space. People get paid for what they do not do. Remember a few years ago, some people were charged to court for receiving monies in the name of subsidy. Some received an average of what they call 999,000 naira 4 times in a day in the name of subsidy payment. Some were tried, some were convicted, some cases were thrown away. And we haven't heard that those who were part of this subterfuge, part of this larceny, part of this roguery, part of this criminality, have refunded the monies. And so you ask yourself, what are these governments? What is the NNPC? What are we doing as a people? So when they tell me that, a certain audit firm had to reduce it from 6 trillion to 2.7 trillion, I'm not one of those who's taken by that dramaturgy. I'm not one of those who's taken by the dance in the market square. I'm one of those who will interrogate the details and ask what was supplied, by who, at what time, from where. And then not also forget that within the past 8 years, we have had several languages. They will tell us it's under recovery. They will tell us it's under payment. They will tell us it's under accounting. They will tell us it's subsidy. It's all names. The problem changes names when the people find out that there is roguery and thieving at the center of these figures. But I do sincerely believe, because I believe in a God who runs the human pilgrimage, the God who brought our boisterous planet out of nothing, the God who superintends humankind. You know, nations have come up this kind of larceny better. So I do not think that God has forgotten or forsaken this country. I think that we must continue to do what we're doing, interrogate leadership, and tell leadership that there should be an end to this kind of larceny and subterfuge. There should be an end to this kind of thieving and criminality. And that is why Nigerians are saying that the new project that kind of has the government on an opium, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, that kind of has the government on a steroid, that kind of has the government overwhelmed, overexcited, should be subjected to clear forensic, clear interrogation by the Nigerian people. You don't wake up to tell us that the company that is yet to complete a project after over 10 years in Lagos State is going to be in charge of a project that runs from Lagos to Calabar. You don't tell us that a government and a company that has the son of Mr. President as one of the directors of a sister company, and that the friend of Mr. President is the owner of a company. You don't tell us, you don't come and whine Nigerians now. Enough of all this. I think that...
And there's no bid to even award the contract.
There's
Governmental business is serious business. At what point was the contract bidded?
There's none.
Where was the open bidding? At what point was the approval for the contract given? You know, I think that the time has come for those who truly care about our country, even those who love Mr. President, who are standing on a querulous mandate. The time has come for those who truly care about our country to begin to interrogate, for the sake of our children and posterity, what obtains in this country. For me, Yangu, for me, Rume, I do not believe in the subsidy scam. I do not believe any figures that come from the NNPC on subsidy. And I challenge the best experts on the subsidy regime to a debate on national TV on it. Let's talk about what leaves Nigeria in the name of crude oil, what comes into Nigeria in the name of byproducts of petroleum. And
I wish we had more time to actually have an in-depth conversation on this, because it seems like a whole nother topic on its own. But I get what you say, and I think it's super important, or it is imperative that we start to demand accountability. We start to demand transparency from our leaders, and that way we can have a better nation. Because if we're saying we want to move Nigeria from where we are to one of the best nations in the world, then we need to put in the work. And putting in the work is not just for the leaders, even the citizens as well. They have a role to play, and that role, it is demanding for accountability and transparency. Sadly, this is where we have to wrap it up here on this segment, but we hope to see you again next week and many more times to have in-depth conversations. Thank you, Professor Chris.
Thank you. The pleasure's mine. The pleasure's mine. God bless Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria. All right, we've been speaking with Professor Chris Mustapha Wonkobia. He's a convener of Country First Movement. And we've just been reviewing the papers taking global stories making headlines in our national dailies. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll be having our first hot topic. We talked about the cyber security levy. That's the hot topic we'll be having today. Please stay with us.
My name is Adejokela Sisi. I'm the founder and creative director of Planet 3R. As Planet 3R, we convert textile and plastic waste into eco-friendly products. The motivation actually came from a rural community in Ibadan here. Whenever it rains, the whole place, people will not be able to go inside the community. If it rains overnight, people will not be able to go to school, they will not be able to go to work. Anytime the water now goes away, you now realize a lot of waste. And I was like, this is actually the root cause of this problem, improper waste management system. Then I look at it that, what can we do to solve this problem? And that was how I started using the weaving skill that I've acquired from my mom since I was 9 years old. Then I started using it to weave those waste to now make sure that we now convert them into beautiful items like bags, shoes, even clothing. I actually participated at Womenpreneur Season 3, that was 2021. One of the things I really gained at that time was business development. It's not just about the talent now or having to know how to convert the waste or having the idea, but to be able to put it into a successful business. I really appreciate what Access Bank is doing for entrepreneurs. Let us now say women now, because most of the time women don't really have much of these advantages. I love the fact that there's an initiative for women. I want to encourage you to make sure that you go and apply honestly. Your life will not remain the same again.
Thanks for staying with us. The House of Representatives has stepped down a motion calling for suspension of the cybersecurity levy, which has elicited negative reactions from Nigerians. Honorable Manu Soro, who moved a motion on the floor of the House on Wednesday, had explained that a levy was coming at the wrong time, considering the current living conditions of Nigerians. And cybersecurity levy, everybody's talking about it. Right now, we're being joined by Mr. Segun Sokweton, Chairman, Accountability, Candor, and Transparency Network. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Cybersecurity levy. Let's start from there. What do you even think? Now they're saying they should step it down and all that, but in the first place, why did it even have to come? So let's get your take on cybersecurity levy.
In the early parts of this administration, and in fact, during the election rounds, I kept saying that the best way to predict the way that a person will behave is to look at what they've done in the past. So this cybersecurity levy thing is not a surprise at all. In fact, I've said also that there's more to come. I think that Nigerians simply need to brace themselves up to continue to push back as these things come forward, because there's more will come. This is rather unfortunate. It's unconscionable. I really don't understand, the logic, behind this. it makes no sense. With all due respect to whoever is concerned, it makes absolutely no sense. And why do I say it makes no sense? The duty and the responsibility of government in any society, anywhere in the world, is to provide safety, stability, and security, to ensure that the people and the businesses in those countries can plan. That's actually the primary purpose of government. You are there to ensure that people can go about their regular businesses, expecting what is to be expected, and security is a major part of this. So I don't understand how, in spite of the fact that citizens are already paying corporate income tax and payee, which are primarily supposed to fund the activities of government, including provision of security, why there's a need for a new cybersecurity levy. This is double taxation. It makes no sense. The Ministry of Defense has about I can't remember the exact figure, I think it's about 3 trillion naira in the current budget, right? Where is that being funded from? And then, what is the purpose of this additional circa 3 trillion naira that will be raised from this? Because, if you do the numbers, it will come to about 3 trillion naira per annum that will be raised from this levy. Where is that going into? What exactly does cybersecurity services that the NSA will be providing, what exactly does that mean? How does that translate in terms of tangibles? Because the cybersecurity, the cyberspace as it is today in terms of transactions, and even in terms of just general communication, whether it's on social media or wherever you want to look at it, there are multiple layers of security already, multiple protocols, safeguarding your data, safeguarding your transactions. Within the financial space, within the banking industry, the banks themselves, the switches, the interbank settlement system, that's NIBS, the central bank, all of these organizations have layers upon layers of cybersecurity. So what exactly is this money going to be used for? It makes absolutely no sense. So it looks to me as if the government is just looking for revenue, and somebody somewhere just thought, oh my goodness, look at the volume of electronic transactions that we are now generating in Nigeria. Wow, it's 600 trillion naira in 2023. Now money be this, and then somebody decides to just create some new levy. Now, if you go this way, if we allow this to happen and we go this way, then what will happen is that we should expect that the government will eventually come up with a healthcare levy that will be charged directly to the accounts of citizens. And then maybe later we'll have an education levy, bearing in mind that there's an education tax already, 2% for corporate organizations. So maybe we would also see an education levy that goes into the accounts of citizens directly. And then maybe eventually we would also see infrastructure development levy that would also be charged directly to the accounts of, where will it stop? It's ridiculous. This cybersecurity is a service of government that citizens are already paying for. So this cannot stand. I mean, that's just coming at it from that angle. And there are so many other issues and inconsistencies, that go with this new levy. Looking at the economic implications and all of that also, there are serious, significant issues. This is just simply counterproductive. It's an own goal and a shot. This is the government shooting itself very directly on its own foot.
So it's interesting that you talked about other levies to come, because in fact that was my question. And looking at my notes, I actually wrote down, I said taxes and levies that have been imposed. So it started with the petroleum product. So we see fuel subsidy being gone. So obviously that product there was more money on that. Then we move over to the energy sector, which is the power sector. Electricity tariff has been increased. And now we're seeing in the finance sector as well, cybersecurity levy. And I'm just wondering, where does it stop, especially when you know that there is hyperinflation in the country? So I'm wondering, at what point do Nigerians win? At what point do we say, yes, we're flourishing, and as a common man, I'm making enough money to take care of myself, my family, and I even have money to save and do other things, maybe to buy a house or a car or, on vacation, to live that comfortable lifestyle? At what point? I'm just asking.
I mean, look, you are talking about, buying a car, vacation, those are nice things.
Luxury.
I mean,
That's
look,
luxury.
they're luxuries. The reality that confronts us now with all of this multiplicity of levies and taxes and subsidies being removed is that people can't even eat. People are actually struggling to stay alive, to make it through each day. And this is in literal terms. If you bear in mind the fact that we have 230 million Nigerians, when you say you've got 60 to 70% of that population living in one form of poverty or the other, living below the poverty line, then you begin to look at the numbers that we're talking about. We're talking of well over 120, over 130, maybe 150 million people who are dead poor, dead broke in this country. And then in that same country, you want to introduce a new levy that will further eat into their already beleaguered disposable income. Bearing in mind also, you forgot to add inflation. All of these things come down into inflation, which immediately eats into your purchasing power. So if you have 10,000 naira, let's say you have 13,000 naira last year, what your 13,000 naira last year could buy will only buy you goods worth 10,000 naira this year,
or even
based
less
on the inflation numbers. Or less. No, based on the inflation numbers. If you actually look at the reality, you probably will be able to buy only half of what you could buy last year with that same money. So that is the reality that we confront as citizens, and then for government to feel comfortable enough in spite of all of this craziness that cost of living crisis, craziness that people are going through, to then have the boldness and the audacity to introduce a levy that will simply just go into people's accounts and directly take money is shocking. This is, if you read George Orwell's 1984, or maybe The Animal Farm, but especially 1984, this is beginning to tend in that direction, where the government is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-seeing, and knows what is best for everybody and just does it without regard to whatever people think. How can you just enact a law and then dip your hands into people's monies for an activity or a levy that you're already being taxed for? It makes no sense. And that brings me to another point. How, in God's name, was this law passed? This country, it's amazing how these things happen. This is such a momentous issue. And yet, in February, I think February 28th, the president assented to an amendment to the Cyber Crimes Act. The Cyber Crimes Act was enacted in 2015. And then the president in 2024 assented to an amendment to that created this levy, created the National Cyber Crimes Fund, and made it illegal for banks not to remit 0.5% of transactions in people's accounts. A bank that fails to remit it will pay 2% of their total turnover as penalty to the CBN. That's how serious this is. So of course the banks are going to comply. How did this law get passed? What happened to the public hearing? Did the National Assembly make a genuine effort to ensure that the public was adequately briefed about this? You guys, we've been on shows together over this period since last year. I'm sure in February we were on shows talking about public issues. I cannot recall at any point in time when this law was brought up for conversation on any TV station, on any radio station, in the news. So how was this done so surreptitiously that nobody knew about it? So clearly there's a lot of hanky-panky going on in this, and we really do have to push back.
And right now, why we're even talking about this is that it has arrived at the National Assembly, and somebody said that we need to talk about this so that they withdraw it, and he was overruled. Now they are saying, let the government go and do the needful and all that. And I'm just asking myself, how are they going to do the needful? Needful over what? They're mulling increasing the value-added tax for Nigerians. They're like you said, we should be expecting more. But the critical question that Rume asked is, when will Nigerians win?
When?
When will we win?
At what point?
Is it that the CSOs that you are involved in are not doing enough? Is it that the office of the citizen is not living up to expectation? Or where did we get it wrong?
How did we even get here in the first place?
Look, the answer to your question, this questions you guys are asking, Rume and Yamgo, they're fundamental questions. You know, how did we get here? And then that takes us back to the entire civil engagement process, the entire active citizen process, the entire political structure of Nigeria. How do we play politics in Nigeria today? How have we played it in the last 20 years? How did we play 60 years ago? And what you find is that we have been on a steady, very consistent, steady decline in every one of these issues. In terms of civic engagement by citizens, what you found is that the more poverty increased, the less the engagement has become. The less interested people have become in how, they're governed. The less capable they have been in pushing back. Because, look, they are too distracted pursuing existential issues. So if you ask for a protest today, a lot of people will not respond because on the one hand, they have to eat. So they've got to go out
to make their daily bread.
On the other hand, yes, and then on the other hand, they are afraid for their lives. Because if they do come out, we remember what happened with NSAS.
Yeah.
So you talk to people and they quickly remind you. We in civil society have, look, in the last year since this administration have come up, there's been a coalition of civil society organizations trying to work hand in hand with labor. And what we found is that it's a tough job to try and push Nigerians to mount some sort of pushback and resistance. Why? On the one hand, we're divided, along tribal, racial, tribal, religious, political issues, regional issues. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, people are hungry, they're hunting for food. On the other hand, people are afraid for their lives because they feel if they come out, And then, on top of that, we've got a labor movement that, in my opinion, is significantly weakened. We don't have the NLC and the TUC the way we used to have it, where they will talk and the government shakes. Now government just hears them and they laugh. And they tell them, okay, we'll call you for a meeting, and that's the end of it. So it's been very difficult as civil society to actually galvanize people to action. And I think that what may eventually happen, and I pray it doesn't happen, is that people will get tired by themselves, and without the organization of civil society, will hit the streets. That will be anarchy, it will be chaos, and the government has to be careful to ensure we don't get there. So this is not incitement, this is a warning to government that if you continue to do this, you will eventually push the citizens to the point where they have to ask that question that you guys are asking this morning. When are we going to win? And they're going to demand for that win by whatever means they can do. So self-help comes into play. Remember, I keep giving the example of the cash scarcity last year.
Yeah.
And for the first time in a long time, I saw spontaneous protests that were not organized by anybody. That was a warning. And then early this year, you also saw the food crisis protests. And the government was saying, oh, this is organized by opposition. No, which opposition? That was organized by people that were hungry. If you allow the citizens to get to the point where they hit the streets without them being organized either by labor or by civil society, you will lose control of law and order, and that will be dangerous. So I would advise, the president and all of the people in government to take their time, think through these things carefully before they come out with these policies and all of these new laws and charges and levies. Otherwise, we might be pushing ourselves towards the precipice.
Well, okay, I think let's just look at some data on this whole levy thing. So if we're looking at, from yesterday's paper, we can see a chart on how much we're being charged. Now, if you want to, just open an account in Nigeria today, get ready for these charges, one of which is stamp duty fee, which is 50 naira. Another is, if you want your statement of account, it's 200 naira for that. For SMS alerts, just to be sure that you're in touch with how much money is going in and out of your account, well, you have to pay 4 naira per SMS alert. For a corporate cash deposit above limit, there's a charge of 3%. For an individual cash deposit above limit, there's a charge of 2%. To have your Naira debit card replacement is 1,000 Naira. To have your hardware token, if you're using internet banking, it's 2,500 Naira. And then foreign currency debit cards or credit cards is $10. Now, I studied in the UK and I know that I had different accounts. Not one single time did I have any charge, and I can say this on national TV, did I have any charge on my accounts? For every time I do a transfer to another account, it was free. For every time I walk into the bank to get money, I'm not being charged. For every time I get a card, even if I replace a card, or if I misplaced it and I need a replacement, I'm not being charged. There are times when someone has used my card, and then the bank would just say, no problem, we'll sort it out. And they give me back my money while investigating how my card was being used. So there's some form of insurance on that. But we don't see that here in Nigeria, because if money is being taken out of your accounts, well,
we just had a case
most
of
likely
a Nollywood actress whose money was withdrawn. We have the name of the person who withdrew that
but
money.
Nothing
was done by the
can
the
be done.
bank. Nothing was done by police. Nothing.
I'm wondering, when you charge, all of this exorbitant amount, what are you really doing? Because you were saying cybersecurity. I expect that the money should be coming from here, because if you're taking stamp duty, I wonder what that means. If you're taking transfer fees, if you're taking money to service my account, maintenance fees, I'm wondering what all of that is. And then what are you really doing for me? Is the value that these banks are bringing to us, is it worth the amount we're paying? And I think that is a very good question. Do you think it's worth the amount?
Yeah. Look, the issue you raised, there are two dimensions. There's the banking dimension, and there's the economic management, economic policy dimension. From the economic management and economic policy dimension, it's clear that this is, look, let's call it what it is robbery. This is the government simply using their might to rob Nigerians of 3 trillion naira every year. That's what it is. Because, and the reason I say that is, first of all, you have not gotten our input and our buy-in and our agreement. You've done this through the back door, night market legislation that was not properly passed through the proper due process. And then you are going ahead to implement it in 2 weeks. I've never seen this type of speed in the implementation of a new tax, because this is what this is. In fact, there are laws that require that before you implement a new tax, you must give the public 90-day notice. So there's that dimension. The other dimension that you raised, Rome, is from the banking and financial transactions dimension. And before I move to that, let's not forget that cybersecurity, like I said earlier, is already being provided by the banks by charging all of these monies. In charging all of these monies that you mentioned, they are providing cybersecurity, the kind of technology and security architecture that have been deployed by the financial services system and the payment systems in Nigeria. They're world class. They're very difficult to break through. So what exactly is this money for? This is just pure theft. Now, on the other side, for Nigerian banks, I think it's about time we also begin to push back through the CBN and the Bankers Committee. I remember, I used to be a banker, and I remember that in my day, we actually, that is myself as a banker, my boss then, we did a memo to our management to say, this thing called COT, there used to be a charge called COT. Some people might not remember it. It's metamorphosed into account maintenance charge now. This commission on turnover that we're charging customers is not known to banking anywhere in the world. And you are basically stealing money from customers because you are already charging them so many other fees. And what exactly, how can you charge me for giving you my money that you are using to trade and make a profit already? So we pushed back on COT, and in fact, I think that my boss eventually lost favor with the management at that time and had to leave the bank because of this issue. But eventually it gained traction, and the Bankers Committee cancelled or repealed the COT as a part of bank charges. But then it's made a comeback under MFLS CBN as account maintenance charge. Look, all of these charges, like you say, it's about time that we had a conversation with Nigerian banks on how come, no matter how bad the economy is, they keep reporting humongous profits every year.
The banks are the
If you
only
want to become a
industry.
billionaire today, absolutely, if you want to become a billionaire today, just find investors, gather a couple of rich men together as a former banker or as a banker, and go get a license. Trust me, within a 5-year period, your billions are guaranteed. Why? What value precisely is the banking industry creating for the economy to justify those types of earnings that the owners of these banks are making. How can banks declare billions every year, no matter how small the bank
Well,
is?
even on the papers today,
profits.
my apologies, even on the papers today, it says Zenith Bank delivers massive returns for shareholders with 125.59 billion naira dividend.
We see that every day from banks.
It's
various
crazy.
banks.
And this is in a period where, look, Zenith Bank's financial year, I think it's June to June or something. I can't remember. It's somewhere. It's staggered. It's not December to January, right? So this has straddled a period where subsidies have been removed, where naira has been devalued, where companies that are providing actual real value in the economy are declaring exchange losses in the billions. But our banks are declaring profits in the billions. Something is not right. So clearly, we're being overcharged. Traditional banking, the duty of a bank is to take money from the people that have excess and give it to people that need, that have deficits and need the money, and then charge a small premium in between. That's what bankers do all over the world. Banking is already by its nature very profitable. So a lot of these fees and levies and all of these things, we must begin to ask questions. However, it's important to know that concerning the cybersecurity levy, this does not go to the banks at all. The stamp duty does not go to the bank at all. They are just collection agents. They take this money and they send them to government. That's why I said there are two dimensions. I think that other part about what banks are charging us is a different conversation. It's very related because all of it put together impacts on the disposable income of Nigerians. But we must remember that as far as the cybersecurity levy is concerned, it's not the banks that take these monies. These monies are remitted to the National Security Advisor's Office, where your guess is as good as mine as to what will happen to it. I think it will just disappear into the oblivion. It will disappear into the black hole, and they will all be left to ask questions afterwards.
Well, let's just wrap up with this. You said the office of the citizen. That's how architect used to put it. The office of the citizen is weak because of some factors. Fear for their lives and so many other things.
Put on their table.
So how in this situation can we make that office of the citizen more stronger than it is right now? Because if that office fails, Nigeria fails. Because if we could raise our voices well enough, I'm sure a lot of things will change in this country. But we are not able to do that, and the burden is more than enough for the CSOs. I'm sure you cannot do that alone. So how do we strengthen the office of the citizen so that we can get things right?
Ironically, I think that's it's a question that's difficult to answer, and I think that's why I talk about, revolt eventually. Because as it is now, the way the society of Nigeria is structured, it's going to be very hard to actually do that work. CSOs cannot do it by ourselves. It's just very clear. We have been trying and we're still trying. You see Sarah. I always use the example of Sarah because they're the most visible. A lot of CSOs are also doing a lot of other things that are not so clear. My CSO has engaged with government repeatedly, asking for accountability because that's actually our own mandate, accountability, candor, and transparency. So we don't go challenging government in court and all of that. But we keep sending letters out to different ministries, parastatals, to ask for accountability on how public funds are spent. And trust me, in spite of the Freedom of Information Act, you rarely get any meaningful responses from these guys because they know that there is nothing you can do. So invariably, you have to resort to going to court. Sarah is going to court, and their efforts are literally futile. They get court judgments, but the court judgments are ignored because the government believes that, who's going to enforce, these judgments. For example, Sarah went to court to talk about the local government autonomy issue and the fact that there is an executive order that gives autonomy to local governments and that it's illegal for state government to dip their hands into the funds of local governments. Nothing, absolutely nothing. The Supreme Court has ruled on this issue. Nothing has happened. That's the highest court in the land. Nothing, it was ignored. So how do we get the office of citizen to become active and to become effective? I think that it's just something that will happen naturally when there is a breaking point of some sort. I'm not calling for a revolution. I don't think that will be an answer because revolutions usually rarely deliver the outcomes that the people that are planning those revolutions were seeking. You know, so it's never the answer. But I think that if government has to recognize that it is in their own enlightened self-interest to get citizens a bit more active and a bit more engaged in the governance process. Otherwise, it's going to happen at some point down the line. As it is now, Yangul, I'm sorry, your guess is as good as mine. We are doing our best. Other CSOs are doing what they can, but as it is, it's very frustrating because it is what it is. The factors militating against active citizenry are simply too powerful, and they have been designed so deliberately over a long time. The system is not, what we're witnessing today is not an accident. It was programmed and carefully orchestrated to get us to this point. So,
you know why
I'm sorry.
Why I'm laughing while you're talking.
It's not a message of hope.
I'm just laughing while you're talking because maybe the solution is what happened in one of the states where people were being sworn in recently, and instead of using the Bible or the Quran, they used they used Ogun. They swore by Ogun, the god of thunder. Is it Shango, the god of iron or something? But
Ogun is the god of iron.
Yeah.
I think.
So, okay. Yeah. So they use the god of iron to swear in these people. Maybe that will work. Let's look at.
I mean, we might take it word tradition.
Maybe that's the one.
Maybe that's the way.
If you do anyhow, you see anyhow, and they strike you dead. I don't know whether that's the way to go.
You say it in jest, but to be honest, one of the things that I've come to conclude is that the way we practice our democracy in Nigeria, it's not going to work. And we've got to find our own flavor to our own democracy. So, for example, asking people to swear by the Bible and by the Quran, heck, look, I am a Christian. I'm a church, but tongue talking, any way that you want to talk about faith, I'm a Christian. And I have discovered over the years that people's faith and their values do not align in this country. So they profess a belief in God. They profess to love God and to love their neighbors, but they steal from that very neighbor directly the following day on Monday. I found that there is a lack of alignment, and I think that that's because they probably don't believe these things to the depth of their souls. But I think that the average African is afraid of Ogun.
Of course. Or
Amadioha. You know, or Amadioha. Yeah. When you see that sacrifice at the three-way junction, in Yoruba they call it Ebo. When you see Ebo at a three-way junction, you see the way people avoid it. They quickly sidestep it. Even people that are born again Christians who say that they carry fire, they avoid it. So maybe it's time for us to actually begin to look in those directions. You know, economies like China, India, in particular, India and China in particular, and a lot of other South Asian economies. I tell you, they found their own homegrown recipe for their development, and they are winning. They're getting the dividends today. India is the third largest economy in the world today. China is the second, and they will overtake the US as the first. And they did not follow IMF or World Bank prescriptions. They found their own homegrown method. So I think, in terms of economic management, in terms of managing our society, we do need to begin to look inward to see whether that might work. Because as it is now, the fear of God is not working. It's not taking
He's
us
merciful.
anywhere.
Yeah, everybody knows that God is merciful. Just a reminder, a quick reminder that because Nigeria wants to obtain a loan from, is it IMF or the World Bank, they intend to bring back the telcos levy.
The telecom levy, absolutely.
So they're thinking about VAT, they're thinking about telecom levy.
So many things.
The ones they're thinking about are even more than the ones we already are suffering.
Prepare your pockets.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. So the telecoms levy will come back. VAT is going to go to 10% in the first instance, and I suspect that by 2026 it will go to 12.5. Withholding tax is going to be increased. So I'm just telling, and I feel and I suspect that companies' income tax and payee will also be increased by this administration. And why do I say this? Just if you want to predict what a man will do in the future, look at what he has done in the past. So it's very easy to predict these things. Don't call me a prophet when it happens.
I'm looking for the map to Niger. I might just move to Niger.
No, we need you here, please.
Nah.
We all have to do the work together.
I'm going to Niger.
You're not going anywhere. We stay here.
Yes.
We die here. Mr. Shokwiton, thank you so much for being a part of our program this morning. It was fun having you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to talk to you guys.
All right.
We've been talking to Mr. Segun Shokwiton, Chairman, Accountability, Candor and Transparency Network. We were looking at the cybersecurity levy and the fact that the National Assembly has stepped it down. They don't want to even discuss anything about removing it and all that. So we're trying to make sense of what really is the benefit to Nigerians. Are we going to be milked until we have no more blood, or are we going to survive this? That's left to the future to decide.
Yeah, in fact, the NLC president was talking about it, and he said this is just an extortion. It is just a way to extort Nigerians of the little money that they have, because you're not increasing the minimum wage, but then you're putting more tariffs, more levies for people to pay. And like I said, where do we win? How do we get out of this? But
well, God, we apologize that you gave us all the blessings and we are misusing them. We have mineral resources down in the earth that people are illegally mining, places that we could have made money. But now we're making money off people who don't have money, and it's a terrible thing. But that's the way it is, and we believe that one day something will happen. And that is not by speaking in tongues, that's by acting.
Actually putting in the work.
Putting in the work.
Yeah.
Well, that's the much we can take for today on the program, and it's been a lovely time out with you. We hope that you will join us again tomorrow. My name is Nyamguru Agaji.
Well, my name is Obrome Paulson. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Sometimes, it's not just the distance we travel. It's the gaps we close. It's not the things we buy. It's the memories we create. Sometimes, it's beyond the places we go. It's the connections we make. Not just the things we taste. It's the taste of things to come. And it's never a question of if, but when. Because life is always just a bit better with American Express. Introducing the Access Bank American Express Gold Card and the Metal Platinum Card, now available through Access Bank.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good morning. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. This is the news brief. The Rivers State House of Assembly has once again overridden Governor Siminalayi Fubara by merging the Rivers State Local Government Amendment Laws of 2015, 2023 and 2024 into a single law. Following the consolidation, the lawmakers unanimously passed this unified law. The purpose of this consolidation is to rectify any inconsistencies found in the individual amendments, such as the appointment process for the Local Government Commission Board and the remuneration of political office holders at the local government level. During the plenary session, Speaker Martin Amaewhule emphasized that members should not be swayed by Governor's remarks, as he lacks the legal authority to declare their actions null and void.
Consolidate everything into one legislation so that we can have one single document which stands as the Rivers State Local Government Law for 2024. This bill is also making provision for the creation of the Local Government Service Committee for every local government. This Local Government Service Committee, according to this bill, which we have just resolved in the Committee of the Whole, will have that responsibility of recommending to the Local Government Service Commission a number of matters, including matters affecting staff of their local governments.
Common knowledge says that the existence of human beings is being created by God Almighty, and the existence of the Rivers State House of Assembly is enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, precisely section 4, subsection 6, 7. So, Mr. Speaker, I wonder why a sitting governor will go this far to make this unguided statement. I want to bring to the notice of this House that such statements are a plot for coup. I am very well displeased that the governor, without mixing words clearly, and was emphatically saying that he is putting it on record that the assembly is non-existent, arrogating powers to himself, arrogating the judicial powers to himself, declaring the assembly non-existent. Mr. Speaker, it's an aberration.
We must continue to perform this task. We must not be distracted by the antics of our detractors, particularly those who don't read the Constitution. We must continue to do our job, knowing fully well that what we are doing is in the best interest of Rivers State.
The political turmoil in Rivers State has taken a fresh turn as a certain member of the Rivers State House of Assembly who supports Governor Siminalayi Fubara has chosen Victor Okojumbo, the representative of Bonny constituency, as their speaker. Okojumbo, reportedly the new speaker for the entire 32-member assembly, was elected at 10 a.m. during the plenary session on Wednesday following the House's standing order. He was among the 4 legislators who remained loyal to Fubara amidst the state's political crisis. During the crisis, they initially elected Edison Ehie as the speaker, but later resigned from the state assembly and was appointed as the governor's chief of staff. The number of lawmakers present during the plenary that led to Okojumbo's election as speaker remains unclear.
You will agree with me that after the House last sat on 13th of December 2023 and adjourned Synodi, there has been an avalanche of legislative rascality perpetrated by the 25 former members of the 10th Rivers State House of Assembly, led by the former Speaker, Right Honorable Martins Chike Amaewhule. These former members, being fully aware of the provision of Section 1091 sub G of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressive Party, APC, and on 11th of December 2023, consequently, the Right Honorable Edison Ogeren Ehie, on the 13th of December 2023, wrote to the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, declaring the seats of the 25 lawmakers vacant in line with Section 1091G and 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. Further, my distinguished colleagues, there are plethora of cases pending in our courts further to the defection of the former lawmakers. All laws, plenary sections, and actions taken by the illegal House are hereby declared void. The executive arm, the judiciary, and the general public are hereby called upon to disregard every purported laws enacted by the illegal assembly, as they all amount to nothing and they are exercised in futility.
The Rivers State chapter of the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON, has alleged that the governor, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, is withholding funds designated for the 23 local government areas of the state. The association made this claim during a press conference in Port Harcourt on Wednesday, urging President Bola Tinubu to step in and urge the governor to release their April allocation. Allwell Ihunda, the chairman of the association and also the chairman of Port Harcourt City Local Government Area, spoke on behalf of the local government area chairman, stating that Governor Fubara is intentionally avoiding holding the Joint Account Allocation Committee meeting in the state in order to deprive the third tier of government of the necessary funds to carry out their duties.
Has neglected, failed, and deliberately refused to hold the statutory Joint Account Allocation Committee meeting, JAC, which is a prerequisite for the release and disbursement of funds due to the local governments in the State Joint Local Government Account, and has continued to withhold the statutory allocation due to the 23 local government councils of Rivers State since the month of April 2024, and in the case of Emohua since March 2024 till date for no just cause, thereby starving the third tier of government of the funds required to discharge its statutory functions in the administration of the local government areas. It has also come to our notice that the governor of Rivers State held a meeting with heads of local government administrations, head of personnel management, treasurers of local government, and other directors on Monday, the 6th day of May, 2024 in Government House, Port Harcourt, whereat he directed them to go and compile for presentation to him of the salary vouchers and overheads of civil servants, excluding chairmen, vice chairmen, councillors, and other political office holders for the various local governments, with a view to unlawfully dipping his hands into local government funds to pay staff salaries directly without involvement of the democratically elected local government council chairman. We therefore call on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the federal government to intervene by calling the governor of Rivers State to order, with a view to avoiding breakdown of law and order in Rivers State.
Rivers State youths have refuted the accusation made against Governor Siminalayi Fubara regarding alleged arrears owed to the council chairman. Moreover, the youths have reaffirmed their steadfast support for Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the well-being of the state amidst the demand for his immediate removal by the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress APC. This firm position was expressed during a press conference organized by Ambassador Chijioke Ihunwo, chairman of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN, Rivers State chapter on Wednesday. Ihunwo emphasized the youth's commitment to defending Governor Fubara against baseless criticisms and implications, especially from the chairman, caretaker committee of the Rivers State chapter of the All Progressives Congress APC.
Medium to call on Chief Tonokocha to retract attacking the office of the governor of Rivers State. Henceforth, or the youth of Rivers State will take a protest against him to Abuja. We want also call on Mr. President to call on Chief Tonokocha to order to stop inciting crisis in our state. Rivers State is a very peaceful state. Rivers State is a place where people are doing their normal business. Rivers is a place where we have a governor that loves the people who elected him. Each time Chief Tonokocha comes to incite Nigerians, especially Rivers people, against the governor. So what, as a youth, youth of the state, we want to call on Tonokocha to immediately apologize to the governor of Rivers State. And let us state it, that no one man can impeach the governor because we voted for the governor of Rivers State. And as such, we must continue to protect the governor of Rivers State.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has cautioned the All Progressives Congress, APC, against considering the impeachment of Rivers State Governor Sim Fubara. PDP spokesperson Debo Ologunagba issued the warning in response to the call made by Rivers State APC Chairman Tony Okocha for the State House of Assembly to impeach Fubara. Ologunagba highlighted the subversive utterances of the APC chairman in Rivers State, which he believes could potentially lead to a crisis and disrupt the democratic order in the country.
The attention of the leadership of the People's Democratic Party has been drawn to a delusional declaration by the chairman of the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State, Mr. Tony Okocha, wherein he issued a hallucinatory directive that an impeachment proceedings be commenced against the democratically elected governor of Rivers State, similarly Fubara. In any event, the individuals that the Rivers State APC chairman directed to commence impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara are not legally members of the Rivers State House of Assembly and cannot contemplate or exercise such powers under the law. The PDP therefore draws the attention of the Inspector General of Police to the subversive utterances of the APC chairman in Rivers State, which is capable of triggering crisis and derailing the democratic order in the country.
The leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, Chief Edwin Clark, has warned that the attitude of the 27 Rivers State lawmakers loyal to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, is capable not only of plunging the state into anarchy, but also consuming the nation if not checked now. In an open letter to the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, which he also presented at a press briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, he observed that a threat by those he referred to as former lawmakers to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara is an action likely to cause breach of peace and breakdown of law and order if urgent action is not taken. The one-time Minister of Information therefore hoped that the IGP would perform his duties impeccably, fair and just, and without any discrimination, political victimization, or witch hunting of political opponents, and have the courage and ability to confront the so-called sacred cows in the society.
I should call a press conference to present an open letter to the Inspector General of Police on the situation in Rivers State, the ugly situation in Rivers State, whereby the police is doing nothing. We have seen that your policemen in uniform are being used to breach the Constitution of Nigeria with impunity. You have a duty to arrest the situation. People who have been declared, whose election have been declared null and void, they are no longer there, should not be allowed to disturb the government of elected governor in Rivers State, because he was spread to Niger Delta, from Niger Delta to Nigeria, and to affect our economy. So I believe that the Inspector General of Police should advise Mr. President that the interests of one individual and his men should not be taken above the interest of the nation. Otherwise, there will be problem in this country that it will not be able to cope.
The governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborevwori, has announced the withdrawal of military officers from Okwama Community, Ughelli South Local Government Area of Delta State. The governor made the announcement while briefing the press at the ESCO Chambers, Governor's House or Government House, Asaba, in the state capital. Our Asaba correspondent Akpomajero Friday reports that the military took over the community after 17 military men on a peaceful mission on the crisis between Okwama and Okoloba were killed in the community. The governor noted that the Okwama indigents will now return to their community to continue with their daily lives.
Army has agreed to withdraw its officers and men from Okwama. I spoke with the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Lagbaja, on Monday, 6th of May, And as of today, 8th of May 2024, the military have withdrawn from Okwama. With this development, the people of Okwama can now safely return to their homes and begin the process of reintegration and rebuilding their homes. And profound gratitude to Mr. President, the Chief of Army Staff, and the hierarchy of the Nigerian Army for their understanding and cooperation. In my engagement with them, they demonstrated the highest level of concern and care for the plight of the displaced persons. To God be the glory that we have achieved an amicable resolution. I also extend my gratitude to members of the National Assembly, distinguished Nigerians, our traditional rulers, and leaders of thought who stood with us in our travails.
The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Niger State Command, has effected the arrest of 4 suspects allegedly specialized in genital mutilation, gang raping of minors, and other criminal acts in Pandogari town of Rafi local government area of the state. The state commandant of the Corps, Joachim Okafor, who made this disclosure in Mina, said they were nabbed through a verifiable intelligence gathering mechanism put in place by the divisional command. The suspects include Aliyu Amiru, 20 years, Suleiman Abubakar Gambo, 19 years, Yusuf Malam Murtala, 22 years, all residents of Pandogari town. Okafor, who spoke through the deputy commandant, DCC Abdul Hamid Kabara, explained that the syndicate gang raped a 13-year-old JSS1 student of Day Secondary School, Pandogari, after drugging her with a substance.
One of the soldiers told us is 5,000 that he used. He said that one Baba, that means Babalawo, is the one who promised him that when he get a male genital, small boy genital, he will use it to make a kind of concoction for you that will prevent bullets or matches to penetrate him. The next question is, the investigation doesn't stop here. That Baba will fish for him. And
please stay with us as we now take a short commercial break.
Fearlessness. It is a powerful state of mind free from the weight of limitations and challenges. Challenges that become thrilling adventures, propelling you forward. In the face of adversity, a focus that remains unwavering, fixed firmly on the exhilaration of victory rather than the fear of defeat. It can be built from that education that cultivates a bold and fearless generation of leaders, innovative thinkers, and entrepreneurial sons and daughters of Africa. This is the purpose behind Wigwe University, a beacon of knowledge that will guide the African youth through the realms of academia and the profound lessons of existence. With mentorship and guidance, shaping them into embodiments of fearlessness so that one day they shall proudly declare, "We, the fearless." Welcome to the fearless generation.
Thanks for staying with us. We move now to other parts of Africa. Kenya's President William Ruto has declared Friday a public holiday to mourn the 238 people who have died due to ongoing flooding. The president on Wednesday said the day will be observed by national tree planting activities to help mitigate the effect of climate change. Kenya, along with other parts of East Africa, has been overwhelmed by flood. More than 235,000 people are displaced and living in dozens of camps. President Ruto also announced the reopening of schools countrywide after 2 weeks' delay due to heavy rains that have destroyed hundreds of schools. The government had said more than 1,000 schools were affected by the heavy rains and flooding and set aside funds for renovations. The Meteorology Department, in its daily weather forecast, has continued to predict moderate to heavy rainfall in most parts of the country. The government is in the process of forcefully evacuating people living in flood-prone areas and those near rivers and dams as water levels in the country's major hydroelectric dams rise to historic levels. Outside Africa now, President Joe Biden has cautioned Israel that the United States would cease providing certain weapons if the significant ground operation is initiated in Gaza city of Rafah. He emphasized the importance of ensuring Israel's security. Despite strong objections from the U.S., Israel seems ready to launch a large-scale invasion of Rafah, which is considered Hamas's final stronghold in southern Gaza. U.S. officials have expressed concerns about potential civilian casualties due to the densely populated area, which has seen an influx of refugees from other parts of Gaza. President Biden clarified that the current situation in Rafah is not classified as a ground operation. In business news, on Wednesday, the Naira experienced further decline in both the parallel and official markets due to the resurgence of speculation and hoarding. This was accompanied by the withdrawal of some bureau de change from the Central Bank of Nigeria's dollar sales program. As a result of sustained nationwide rates and arrest of street currency hawkers, the Naira depreciated to 1,435 Naira per dollar in the parallel market and 1,421.06 Naira per dollar in the Nigerian foreign exchange market. Data from FMDQ revealed that the indicative exchange rate for NAFEM dropped to 1,421 Naira 6 kobo per dollar, indicating a depreciation of 4 Naira 49 kobo for the Naira. Consequently, the margin between the parallel market and NAFEM rates widened to 13 Naira 94 kobo per dollar. In entertainment news, the investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of the late singer Ilerioluwa Aloba, aka Mohbad, is still ongoing by the police. This investigation was initiated after Mohbad's family and individuals involved in the illegal embalming of his body were summoned for questioning. Darosha, Mohbad's personal assistant, was interrogated at the Zone 2 police headquarters in the presence of the deceased's parents. Following Darosha's interrogation, the police requested that all individuals mentioned in his statement be brought in for further questioning. The family's legal team, headed by Monishola Odumosu, disclosed that the second round of questioning took place at the Zone 2 police headquarters in Lagos State. Odumosu also mentioned that the police are actively working to uncover the identity of the illegal mortician. And finally, sports news. Real Madrid snatched the incredible semi-final victory as 2 late goals defeated Bayern Munich and set up a Champions League final with Borussia Dortmund. Bayern looked to be heading to the final when Alphonso Davies cut in and blasted past Andrei Lunin after England captain Harry Kane had found him with a superb pass. But Joselu grabbed the 88-minute equalizer when he reacted quickest after Bayern goalkeeper Manuel Neuer, who had been excellent up until then, fumbled Vinicius Junior's effort. Kane had put Bayern 2-1 ahead in the first leg against Madrid, only for Vinicius Junior to grab his second to leave it at 2-2 after the opening match in Germany. For England midfielder Jude Bellingham, the outcome continues to an incredible first season at the Bernabeu, and he will face his former side Dortmund in the final in London. Bellingham left the German team for Real in an £88.5 million move in June 2023 and has a chance to complete a double, having already helped Real win La Liga. And as the news brief, for more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Thanks for being there.
The pandemic opened the world to a new dispensation regarding work. How people work and the career paths they take differ from generation to generation. There are 5 generations present in the modern workplace, each with unique expectations and perspectives. A person's career path is described as the work they do and the roles they hold as they climb up the ladder. Before the millennium, career paths for many was simply linear, which could be a person working at the same organization and growing there till they retired, or a person working in the same role but changing jobs a couple of times. Security and staying power were the cornerstone of this career path. However, with modern technology, a person's career path can be as multifaceted and versatile as the individual wishes. Millennials now work multiple roles in their career trajectories, pursue numerous passions that are sometimes interwoven, and work at different roles in their journeys. Baby boomers and Generation X only considered a job good if it gave them the security to work there till they retire. But for millennials and Gen Z, the workplace has changed and so has the career structure. Millennials often change their career paths or juggle multiple interests simultaneously. Being able to move from one job to another might signal a person's employability and adaptability. Baby boomers tend to believe that working long hours is what defines success and value face-to-face interactions with co-workers. In contrast, millennials believe that innovation and flexibility are key ingredients for success at work. The shift in occupational structures, for example, the increasing gig economy, is leading to polarization in employment, wages, and inequalities. From remote work policies to virtual leadership, the pandemic changed how we work. The opportunity to telework increased for some, such as knowledge workers, but not for frontline workers. Among the benefits are an improved work-life balance for some, as well as changed attitudes to well-being. Teleworking can lead to a higher productivity and lower operating costs for companies. Work is increasingly flexible and decentralized. Working from home or out of a workspace is favored by many because of the flexibility that comes with it. Millennials and Gen Zs prefer flexible work schedules and part-time hours so that they can balance their work and life compared to older generations who prefer security.
Some people are social people. When they go to the office, they have friends everywhere. Good morning. How was the football match? You just with your colleagues and stuff like that. That social element at work, a lot of people need it. Me personally, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also high on the introverted side. I like going to parties, I like making friends, but I also like keeping to myself. So at work, I'm not the friendliest. I would smile, I would say hi, but I don't need to. So it depends on your personality and what you need. For me, work from home works a lot for me because I get to spend time with my family. I'm always in the house with my partner, and that really makes me happy.
Comic Republic is a Nigerian startup where we tell African stories. We push the African narrative forward through a traditional art form that is popular all around the world, which is comic books.
We kind of write stories that everybody can find a bit of themselves somewhere in there. When you read our books, you will always be able to find one book that you are able to connect with, even if you are not an African. It's not just for Africans alone, but it's the African narrative. That's really what we do.
We take the process of telling our stories, making our comic books engaging. We do it professionally and we take it as a business. We're growing bigger every day.
We try to make sure that all of our comics, all of our content has a positive message underlying them, even apart from all the action, all the punching, and all the superheroics.
Right now we have close to 48,000 downloads per comic book. We get between 5,000 to 7,000 unique visitors every week. Nigerians have been really excited to see people in Nigeria creating heroes from Nigerians, telling Nigerians that we can be everything we need to be if we only try. The comic business actually has a wide range.
One of the major things that actually helps us to move forward here is the fact that we are more than just a team, we are a family. and family is everything. We understand ourselves, we know what we're meant to do when we're meant to do, and we get them done.
The first and foremost vision for Comic Republic is to take control of the African narrative. Who are the biggest superheroes you know today? You're looking at Spider-Man, Captain America, and Superman. If you look at the colors of their uniform, they're all the colors of the American flag. If you look at where those people come from, they come from America. This is a way that a country has, from generation to generation, programmed their people to believe that they are strong and they are efficient. We want to do the same with Comic Republic. That's what we want to do at Comic Republic. That's our vision. And until we're number one at that in the world, we're not going to stop.
The federal government is making preparations to implement new regulation that will prohibit peer-to-peer cryptocurrency exchanges using the national currency, the Naira. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is also planning to introduce a new regulatory framework for crypto exchanges, custodians, and other industry firms soon. The objectives of these regulations, according to SEC Director General Momotimi Agama, is to remove the Naira from P2P exchanges to safeguard the local currency from manipulation. This development comes after the federal government banned the global cryptocurrency exchange Binance and arrested its executives Tigran Gambaryan and Nadeem Anjarwalla in February. Now, Gambaryan, who is currently detained at the Kuje Correctional Center in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, is scheduled to stand trial on May the 17th, facing charges of tax evasion, currency speculation, and money laundering. Now, while major CEX platforms like Binance offer their own P2P marketplaces, they have already excluded the Naira from their P2P services since March due to the intensified crackdown by the Nigerian government. We'll look at all of that on the show today. Welcome to Business Insight in Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. All right, now, Nigeria's crypto trading market is among the largest in Africa, driven by the country's young population facing challenges in accessing dollars for international transactions. But before we get into the discussion proper, let's take this report on chip design. Stay with us. The semiconductor technology stands as a cornerstone for modern economies, and as such, investing in this domain could unlock substantial foreign exchange earnings through localized processing of raw materials and export of semiconductor products. Olafadi
I will take you through this amazing lesson today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Now, we apologize for that slight break and hitch there. Moving on, Nigeria's crypto trading market is among the largest in Africa, driven by the country's young population facing challenges in accessing dollars for international transactions. A significant number of Nigerian remote workers receive their salaries and payment in USDT, a stable coin tied to the US dollar. Now, the head of the SEC expressed worries about the effect of crypto peer-to-peer transactions on the Naira's exchange rate to the dollar, leading to collaborative efforts and discussions with the financial sector in Nigeria. Now, my guest